We're just going to give everyone some time to make their way in from the waiting room into the session. Just about another 10 seconds or so. Hello, everyone, and welcome to How CRM Can Increase Productivity During COVID-19, brought to you by LionO360. I'm Amy Music for the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. With us today is Brandon DiCarlo. A few housekeeping matters before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you tomorrow along with the PowerPoint for today's presentation, so be on the lookout for those. If you just can't wait, you can download them right now from the Handouts tab. But I'd also like to draw your attention to the Questions tab. Brandon will be happy to take your questions, so get them in as they come to you via the questions chat box. One last thing, it's definitely been getting better, but we've still been noticing people having audio and visual issues with the GoToWebinar platform as they struggle to keep up with all extra video conferencing going on right now. If you have any trouble viewing or hearing during the presentation, don't forget you will automatically be receiving a recording within 24 hours. So if you have to sign out and watch the recording, you won't miss a thing. So now, without further ado, Brandon, go ahead and take us away.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for your time today. My name is Brandon DiCarlo, and I'm the Senior Sales Manager for LionO360, and on behalf of all of us, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. Now, at this point, it's almost cliched to describe these times as unprecedented. Over 9 months since it all began, and we're still seeing it firsthand as businesses, as consumers, and as members of our own communities. The world economy has never experienced this kind of shutdown in such a short period of time. So naturally, there's still going to be more questions than answers right now. Like, are we there yet? Just when are we getting back to normal? What does the new normal even look like? I mean, while the answers to these and many other questions present themselves, businesses from all over the state are adjusting to these realities. And while we prepare for a second wave right here in New Jersey and elsewhere in the country, it'll be those who have properly planned to how to navigate through this uncertainty who will be best positioned to take or grow or take market share or even just stay afloat. It may seem terrifying, but we can and we must do this as businesses and as an economy. Excuse me. So over the course of the next 60 or so minutes, we're going to talk about some of the ground level challenges that many businesses from around the state have been feeling. We're going to talk about the importance of using CRM software to help gauge and guide the customer journey. And we'll also take a look at how these sorts of technologies can help make these sorts of transitions and adjustments as efficient as possible through the right planning and through the use of the right technologies. Finally, we'll take a look at some interesting examples of how businesses from various industries have been able to react and adapt to the shutdown and beyond. And finally, we'll kind of open things up to take any questions that you guys may have out there. So, but first off, a little bit about LionO360. Formed and based right here in the Garden State, our mission is to provide small and medium-sized businesses with the tools that they need to operate with effectiveness. We're based just around the corner from Princeton University, but our products operate on secured Microsoft Azure servers network. And we're partnered with a company called TrustArc, who is the leader in data security compliance. Now, we do our best to provide our customers with features that help nurture and streamline sales and fulfillment cycles, and will allow them to effectively manage their supply chains to ultimately keep their customers happy. Now, we're going to be spending some time talking about how CRMs can help small businesses. And yes, we're going to give you a high-level tour of our solution a bit later. But I think it makes sense to take a step back to put things into proper perspective in terms of what businesses across the nation have been feeling both early on in the crisis as well as more recently. Now, a couple of surveys published both in the spring and then later in the summer by the National Small Business Association showed that not only were many business owners naturally worried about the prospects for the economy and that plans for the old normal are on hold indefinitely as science races for a vaccine, but that these concerns presented themselves early on in March And then they've almost tracked the actual trajectory of the curve, with many of those spikes starting in mid-April. Well, most have either laid off or significantly reduced the size of their staffs, had seen demand fall off a cliff, and then even have seen marketing opportunities to expand their brands hampered by COVID-19. So looking at these next couple of graphics here, as one would imagine, mandated closures and reduced demand and delays from vendors have been a huge concern, especially early on in the crisis. Yet when we asked about the prospects for the future, the majority of the respondents, even back at that time, said that they were somewhat confident about their ability to navigate through this uncertainty. Now, after all the concerns that I mentioned above, one would think that all hope would be completely lost at this point. But so what I see in these kind of graphics here is that we do have a will to fight off these challenges. And as we all know, if there's a will, there is a way, right? So this graphic really kind of tells me that the majority of those asked naturally anticipated a recession, but when it came to a second wave of COVID-19 affecting their businesses, there were still 45% felt somewhat or very confident about their ability to withstand the long-term impact on their businesses. Now, these next couple of graphics here were from surveys conducted later in the summer. And as we can see, despite the concerns, and yes, this survey was actually taken slightly before that summer surge that we had, if you recall. But the vast majority of those surveys still had a positive outlook that a vaccine can ultimately end this crisis by the end of the year. Now, the fact that we're currently in the midst of a second wave right now, the virus does decrease the chances of that happening for this year. And as we all know, things are moving very fast. But all in all, it is pretty safe to say that we do feel good about an eventual solution to the crisis, and that eventually we will begin to move forward and begin to re-engage and conduct business as usual once again. Now, these next two slides that we're going to look at illustrate just how businesses were actually affected by the pandemic, both back in the spring and then as recently as this past September, and as we're all experiencing. New Jersey has really been crushed in terms of economic activity. I mean, none of us were really prepared for this, but as we've slowly opened back up, we're seeing that the businesses that are starting to see the results of their attempts to adapt to this restrictive business climate, which is great to see, obviously, but there's still a large percentage of businesses that are in a pretty scary situation. And this really has to be addressed quickly as we head into some of these cooler months. So really call me a half glass full guy, but looking at a lot of that data, it's actually a little bit better than I would have initially thought if you showed me or asked me back in April. So what are we doing in terms of adapting to this new world, right? Well, never in history have we had to really abruptly pull the emergency brakes on the global economy like this. So naturally, we don't know what will transpire in the short term, but that's kind of the point, right? I mean, we need to set our sights on the medium to long term and what kind of actions and strategies can be implemented as people wean themselves back into normal life. Now, obviously, with the development of vaccines in play, many now feel close to normal is on the horizon. So again, this is a transitional process we're in. And we've observed that those businesses that have been able to think medium to longer term have been able to mitigate the shock of the shutdown and are probably best prepared to transition back to that new but more normal, whatever we're calling it. But regardless of what you're offering, what is the easiest and most convenient way to get your products and services to your customers right now? What are the logistics involved? How does that affect staffing? How does that affect your website? What about our physical location? Do we have to transform that store to be able to facilitate those changes? Do we need to offer products that meet the needs of a post-virus world? And if so, do we need to change our ideal customer profiles accordingly? And is this forever? But if we do go back, how hard is it going to be for us to pivot back to doing what made us successful in the first place? See, these are a lot of the questions that are keeping everybody up at night these days. And although we've somewhat reopened, visibility is still cloudy. Yet we're seeing some success stories that we can all learn from. So let's take a look at a few examples here. Now, a regional gin distiller, and I'll keep kind of names private here, but a regional gin distiller with multiple customer channels, such as wholesale and restaurants and other places, found itself in a situation where not only did these revenue streams grind to a halt at a breakneck speed in mid-March, they also found themselves in some cases with thousands of gallons of alcohol, which was actually returned from restaurants and bars, which could have easily gone to waste. So faced with an environment where the world's truly on the verge of collapse, and the uncertainty of whether a new normal includes these social settings like bars at full capacity, um, in anticipation of that, many brewers just simply let workers go and sold assets to raise cash for debtors and shut down for good. However, there were a number of distillers back then who were able to kind of take a step back from the situation to see how they could best serve their communities. And when they realized that much of the same equipment that they have to make alcohol is actually the same equipment to make hand sanitizer, they've actually created a new marketing opportunity for them to get their products out to the community, whose needs must be filled in that regard. So that's one example. Another example is food distribution. As we've all experienced to a degree, it's also been severely impacted and found itself in a situation where supply chains from food distributors was bottlenecking due to a shift in who they were sending their food products to, and restaurants were closed and or severely cut down their capacity and reduced their demand for purchasing. Much like the alcohol, and the distillers, food was being returned at a breakneck speed. So some companies that have the systems and the logistics in place can actually get their products to other channels, such as food banks or direct to consumer in the form of like ready to cook meals and things like that, with the right strategy and tools in place to kind of execute that. But even businesses where demand was a little bit lower, but still present, and the challenges of moving from a collaborative work environment where you would meet with customers and prospects face to face or other coworkers, this is probably not going to be a viable option for the foreseeable future. So, with many office-based jobs now being handled remotely thanks to technologies, with some of that shift comes managerial and staff challenges that can actually have a long-term detrimental effect on corporate culture and employee and career growth. So, but even sales cycles that have extended really need to be properly adjusted to represent the current sales environments, right? So these are just some examples of some real life scenarios where businesses are faced with the opportunity to adapt and react to the slowdown in a way that is efficient as possible to mitigate any internal or operational hiccups, which can get in the way of doing business. Now, one of the common threads between these cases is the need for this adaptive process to be as smooth as possible for both your staff as well as your customers. And although many of these aspects may vary from business to business, having the right technologies can make these transitions and adjustments to your business much, much smoother. Now, granted, much of this adaptation involves the unknown. Having the right technologies in place is going to make this easier for everybody, like I said. So let's take a look at some of the benefits of CRMs for small businesses, how an all-in-one solution or customer relationship and inventory management solution can efficiently help businesses tackle these unprecedented times of confidence. So first off, I think it's important to talk a little bit about the customer journey, why a customer journey is important. And then we'll talk a little bit about things in context of that customer journey, using software to make that journey as successful for your customers and for your business as possible. And then while we do that, we'll point out how the right solution can help our case examples that I mentioned earlier in adapting to those changing business climates, all while giving them the reporting and the visibility that they need to know how their businesses are functioning throughout this. So when you think about it, whenever you engage in some kind of commerce with another business or an individual, there is a path that not only describes your experience during your purchase, but it also sets the course for whether you continue to buy more goods or services from that business or not, right? What, for example, was I welcomed by someone when I walked into that physical store, or was a representative I chatted with online really knowledgeable? Was the information on the website clear and concise? What about our checkout process? Can I use Apple Pay? Can I use PayPal? And if I'm at a physical location, do I really need to be verbally accosted by the checkout person who wants to ask me for that insurance, to pay for the extra insurance on that razor that's never going to break? I mean, and how is it hard? How hard is it to return items? If it is really hard to return items, trust me, I'm never coming back to that place. I'm definitely going to go write a bad review either on their site or on Google. And trust me, you see, I'm sure there's no denying that all of us have been there to a degree as customers. The fact is that customers have more power than ever to make sound decisions in terms of what they're buying and who they're buying from. I'm sure we'll all agree this. And although everyone's needs can vary from customer to customer, the overall journey they take should be really as smooth as the finest of silk. They should feel so good, even about how easy it is to return items. Everything that they experience has 90% influence on whether there's actually truth to the theory of it costing less to keep a customer. Because what most won't say is that it could be a lot harder and could be a lot more expensive if you don't understand the journey that customer has to take to buy your product, right? So, generally speaking, let's say your customer does their research, and in doing so, Googles around and finds your website. Now they check out your site, and then they go through the products and begin to put items in their cart, and they go and they pay for their goods, and the goods are shipped successfully within the expected time frame, all while letting the customer know of the status of the shipment. Customer receives their shipment, they open up their box, they're a happy customer. In turn, they're more likely to respond to your future marketing efforts or promotions, and ultimately are more likely to return to buy more goods. Now, this is an example of an online journey. And again, this is in the pre-COVID world, for example. But generally, this is the experience that we all really hope to have when we buy something, particularly online. Now, this is the kind of journey that's really applicable to any sort of business, whether it's an online business, whether it's a consulting firm, whether it's a hybrid online and a shop, storefront, a secondary auto partner. It doesn't matter what type of industry or business. And the goal, as I'm sure we'll all agree, is to provide that amazing customer experience, rinse and repeat. The better off you are doing this, the better chances you are of having that customer returning or recommending your products or services. It's really as simple as that. So, in all, a CRM solution is going to accomplish a few different things for you. It's going to help your business operate more efficiently. It's going to provide management and every employee the kind of visibility that they need to be more effective, which will allow your company, your business to grow and manage its customer base and improve your bottom line. And I think that when we think of it in context of a business's operations, having a tool that can help monitor aspects of your business, from how you approach a prospective customer to what you do to get that eventual customer to come back to do more business with you, gives you the visibility into the future trends or helps find setbacks that need to be addressed. So if we look at things in context of that customer journey, we ideally want to have software that can essentially create data points throughout the entire journey, which allows you to analyze and strategize for things such as a change in demand or a disruptive economic event such as a virus. A system that's going to provide you with the visibility of these different yet mission critical aspects of your business will help you feel confident about making any decisions going forward. But the process doesn't necessarily start there. I mean, in reality, you need products and a way to manage relationships with your suppliers, right? Keeping tabs on all of your purchase orders to your vendors and what goods have arrived, equally as important, that your vendors are making sure that your vendors are being paid on time. So once your products are in your inventory, you should now have an inventory of goods that are ready to be sold. So when selecting a system like ours to work with, be sure to look for one that has one place to list out and manage all of your suppliers, along with the high-level viewpoints of that purchasing process with your vendors. so that you have a clearly defined and trackable process which will reduce the possibility of those supply bottlenecks. Now, are you producing your own goods? If so, having a system that allows you to document and account for components and parts needed to make a product allows for the creation of a bill of materials to create a desired amount of those products and have the ability to track that process from beginning to end is going to be mission critical to your business. But whether you produce your own goods or sell products produced by others, you're going to need an efficient way to house these items, and in some cases, multiple fulfillment centers or warehouses. So you're going to want to be able to not only obtain reports of what's available in any warehouse at any particular point in time, but if you have multiple warehouses, you may find yourself having to move some or all of a stock of a particular item from one location to another. So you're going to want a system that can help facilitate and track the transfer of those items between warehouses, which will also create efficiencies in that process, in which the system can track to assure that the right goods are actually being shipped out of the right locations. Okay, so but from a sales perspective, the first step is really connecting with that prospect in a way that draws interest to your products or services, right? Now, there are many marketing strategies that can help you identify and target your ideal customer profile, your ideal customer. So let's presume that you have a marketing strategy in place. An individual or prospect has been identified as a possible ideal customer. Well, now you're going to want to have a defined process for pursuing, approaching, and qualifying this prospect, right? So, okay. In many cases, businesses may look to either purchase a list of prospective buyers, or they may have ways to allow a prospect to opt in to receiving communications. In either case, you're going to want a system that can not only contain a section devoted to these prospects and leads, but tools that can help gauge the health of such prospect lists to assure that the audience that you have is not only growing, but is of high quality in terms of the accuracy of the information being provided. So the system should also offer you different ways to add leads into the solution, should easily allow you the visibility into the quality of whether prospects are being properly pursued by your sales team, and give you the flexibility to create a process for qualifying that prospect to be a potential customer. So again, once that lead is qualified, we want a system that can easily track the sales process in a way that gives you the flexibility of structuring a sales cycle and allows management and executives to confidently forecast revenue. A system that gives you the ability to control the sales cycle will allow you to custom tailor your process to accurately reflect the steps needed to sell your goods as efficiently as possible. So again, going back to our main features here, assuring that the sales process is smooth, the right technology is going to be able to let you know when something is running low on stock or is out of stock, and should give you options on how to process orders that are partially ready to be shipped. This system should also provide a fluid process for picking and packing and shipping, and should also reduce bottlenecks and assure the timely delivery of goods to conclude that customer experience. Now, when it comes to field teams, mobile capabilities are a must, even in today's COVID world. Field teams need tools to help them conduct business on the road as efficiently as possible. So whether you're a field rep that's planning a route for the day's events, whether you need to pull up important customer-related information, or you need to ask specific survey questions that you set up prior to your visit, or you need a way to place sales orders while on the road, or just documenting your field service visits to support your customers, you're going to need to do this safely and securely through a very robust mobile app. Now, with all of that said, I think it's kind of a good idea and good time to kind of pivot a little bit. And let's take a high-level tour of our solution, LionO360, to show you how you can easily create efficiencies in your business, improving the effectiveness of your staff, all while providing you with the kind of visibility you need to navigate through this economic environment. So as we kind of go back here, first thing I want to talk about with regards to the system itself is the system is both browser and cloud-based. So even if you didn't have a chance to download our mobile app, which is included as part of your subscription, you're easily able to access the solution from anywhere with a device or a computer that has a good internet connection and an up-to-date browser. Okay. The system is also role-based though, so depending on where you lie within your company's hierarchy, may ultimately determine what you can see and do within the software itself. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out, we are using strictly demonstration data for today's presentation here, but visibility is key, and that's why this dashboard is really helpful in terms of starting out your day and getting yourself situated. Now, these boxes up top here are going to represent any critical number that you want displayed, no matter who the user is when they log into the site. But once they log into the system, if they look down here, this is an actual area where you get to pick and choose charts that you want to have quick access to. So for management or for owners or executive teams, they may want to take a look at various KPIs across various departments. So the system very easily allows you to choose from any particular charts. It takes a second to load up here, but it'll allow you to choose from any one of our charts that we have broken down into various categories, where you can pick the chart out, you can swap a chart out and replace it, you can remove a chart altogether. Very easy and interactive way to kind of set up this dashboard yourself, and you can do it as frequently as you want. So, but even for the salesperson, not just for management, but even for that salesperson or for the support rep, they may want to look at specific charts that pertain to their specific roles, their day-to-day activity, and their activity versus their peers. So no matter who the user is, they're going to find a lot of value in kind of having this dashboard and these capabilities here. Now, as we look over to the right-hand side here, you're going to notice two feeds. One here is going to show you your timeline of any upcoming events or upcoming tasks at a glance for all of your customers or leads or opportunities. Additionally, we also have any activity that's fed from our social media platform that we actually created within the solution. We call that the stream. I'm going to talk about that in just a second here. But essentially, it's kind of like Facebook meets Slack. And as we all know, a lot of these communication platforms are a great way to reduce the amount of follow-up meetings, but also really allows certain individuals who may not have that day-to-day contact with the home office per se, the ability to kind of stay on top of important company matters. So when we look at that, we're going to see a place where it's like I said, much like Facebook and Slack, in that you can send messages and decide what audience, whether it's the entire company or specific departments or specific individuals, set up special events and appreciation shout outs, as well as special announcements. And all of this information gets pushed down into this Facebook-like wall where others can comment and like and all those good things. This is really helpful, especially, I mean, whether you're at your desktop but especially if you're on the road. So we see a lot of activity in this sort of aspect of our solution from many of our customers. But as we move along here, these next few modules kind of represent the early stages of that customer journey. And as you may know, CRM or customer relationship management systems are really designed to help gauge the health of different aspects of this early part of the cycle. So when we look at these next few modules that we're going to go through, I want you to take a note of the common thread of dashboards throughout the entire solution, okay? So when we look at leads and we look at prospects, many businesses have different approaches in terms of how they try to acquire new business. In many cases, if you have a database of prospects, you're going to want to have a defined process for qualifying those prospects, so that once you have identified a potential customer who can buy your products, you would move that person or that business from the leads database over to our accounts database. But as we can see in our leads database, we have a dashboard that's actually going to help you gauge the health of your leads data. So as your lists are growing, as data may be getting stale, people leave jobs, the information is old, you're going to get a high level viewpoint as to if leads are responding to sales and marketing efforts, if your sales team is approaching these prospects and leads in a timely manner. When we look at a particular lead, you're going to be able to document your experience in your pursuit of that particular prospect or lead through the lead details. And as you can see here, we have various stages or data points that we allow our users to create to best represent that qualification process. So if your process involves more steps here or less, you can actually add or reduce the amount of boxes that you see here. You can also change the names of these stages to best represent your process. And as leads are moving through the qualification process, you can easily sort through various stages to find those prospects that fall under those stages. But as we look through and as we're going through a particular lead and the lead is now qualified to purchase our products, we're going to go ahead and convert that lead to an account, which essentially moves this lead to the accounts database. And when we look at our accounts detail page, you're going to notice another dashboard. Now, this dashboard is going to give you a high level viewpoint of the kind of businesses being conducted from this database of accounts, because you're going to have a combination of accounts that haven't done business with us in yellow, as we see. We're going to have accounts who are actively doing business with us, which will be marked in green. But we'll also have a number of prospects or accounts that haven't done business with us in a while. We may want to color code them another way. So you have different ways to kind of quickly go through your various accounts to determine if they're customers, if they're not. But when we look at a particular business's details, we're going to see an expanded view of what we saw in the lead section, where we start out by showing you a 360-degree view of the account relationship. So obviously this is going to include the place to document all of your calls and emails and voicemails, set your tasks and reminders, much like in the leads module. But as you scroll down, you're going to see additional information as to business activity, whether it's invoices, the types of products and services that they're purchasing, how they're interacting with us, just very high level viewpoints of what's going on with this particular business and the business relationship that you have. But as we click through these various tabs here, this is where you're going to get even more detailed information, giving you even more of a complete view about everything that's happening with this particular business. Okay, so whether it's getting access to a list of all of the contacts at that business, getting history of all of your tasks that you set or all of the activities. And with that said, the activities, you're allowed to send emails directly through our system thanks to our integrations with Microsoft Office 365 as well as Gmail, so that you can not only send emails through the system, have them attached to the account record, but also those replies to those emails can come back into the system so that you're capturing both ends of that communication line. So as you can see, as we move along, you can log calls and set up special notes and events. But as we go through some of these tabs, you're going to be able to get history of every time you had an opportunity to get this customer account to be a customer. You're going to get sales order histories in terms of every time a sales order was placed and the status of those sales orders. You're going to get a history of all the invoices and the invoices that were sent out. You're able to actually send out, email those invoices as you see fit to your customers. You can update those invoices in terms of if payments are being received. But additionally, you're going to get history on everything like returns, so any product returns from your customers, any credits that you sent back to them as a result of those returns, any history of store visits from any field reps or service reps who are going to those locations. We have a case management system, which will also document an account and attach individual support case tickets to the account levels for those businesses so that you're getting every aspect, even from a support level. You're also going to have a place to store documents related to the account or that business safely and securely through our encrypted storage system. So you can also do that company-wide. We'll get to that in a minute. But you can also get all of the history in terms of anybody who's done activity on this particular account. So essentially, you're getting a 360-degree view of everything that's happening with the relationship with this account, so you can make the right decisions and nurture those customers and accounts properly. Now, as we move along through the system here, we're going to take a look at another dashboard that is really focused more on sales and opportunities and helping you and giving you a glimpse of how or where opportunities might be getting lost. What can we do to kind of correct those losses? Is there support by marketing that needs to take place? Are there other activities that need to happen? By giving you this dashboard, this is going to give you a high-level viewpoint of the success of your sales efforts, especially by per rep. And as I mentioned earlier, as with the leads, stages of qualifying, you also have the flexibility to add or change or customize the stages in our opportunities section to best represent the steps involved needed to get that person to become a customer of yours. So another way to kind of easily sift through those leads and opportunities to kind of push them along the sale. So another great tool from a sales perspective. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit here and now talk about that part in the customer journey where a lot of the things that can happen at that point can go downhill from there in terms of customer satisfaction. So when we look at this inventory section, you're going to essentially see a lot of the tools that you're going to need from an enterprise resource planning or an ERP perspective, such as being able to manage your relationships and list out all of your suppliers and vendors, have a clear and concise process for keeping track of all of your purchase orders to those suppliers, keeping track of all of the received orders from those suppliers, and more importantly, making sure that all the bills are being paid to those suppliers on time. Once those goods are purchased and now they're in your inventory, you have various ways to kind of manage that inventory, whether you have one warehouse, whether you have multiple warehouses at various locations. In that case, you have the ability in our system to do transfers of inventory from one location to another. You can handle all of your inventory adjustment needs, as well as get granular reporting in terms of products that are being sold per location or fulfillment center. Additionally, for those who are involved in manufacturing their own products and goods, we have a manufacturing module which allows our users and customers to set up instructions, if you will, on how to build a particular item in an effort to keep track of all of the components and the cost involved in making that particular product, as well as having a place to create a bill of materials and keep track of all of your bill of materials to create a set number of products from those ingredients, as well as track the work order process to assure and stay abreast in terms of every step of the production of those goods. And once those goods are finally produced and ready, now those goods are ready to either be put back into your main inventory or obviously can be shipped out if it's some sort of custom OEM sort of situation there for your customers. Moving along to some of the other areas here, our sales orders are much similar here, a very clear and concise place to review sales orders and quotations, to make sure that you have enough goods or items in stock to be able to send out invoices for those items. But you can also manage all of your invoices so that you know which invoices have been paid, which are past due, which have been voided. Also want to being able to keep track of the shipping process and the fulfillment process. So you're able to kind of set up and customize these steps along this end of the process to properly identify where there may be hiccups in the fulfillment side of things. Finally, in this section here, you're able to actually, and again, another very clear and concise place to process returns, not only just from your customers, but also process and manage all of the returns going back to your suppliers as well. So again, another easy place to kind of sort through these requests and whether they've been declined or approved and all that. Now, moving along to this next section here, this section has and contains tools that help facilitate a lot of the functionality within the system. So for a sales or a field team or support team perspective, territory management is very important. You know, for in those cases, you want to have the visibility of a particular territory kind of isolated per user or per person in that territory. So our territory management capabilities allow you to carve up territories, not only by geographic region, right down to the zip code, but you can also carve up territories by account types, account channels, marketing channels, product types, custom fields. So there's a number of a variety of different ways to kind of carve up those territories just to make sure that those accounts and opportunities are showing in that proper in that applicable territory. Additionally, we have a place where you can actually set goals for your staff, not just revenue-based goals, but even non-revenue-based goals, even custom goals. And in addition to that, you have the ability to forecast through periodic meetings with your staff how far you are from attaining those goals and what it's going to take to hit those quotas. Now, we also have a couple of calendars in the mix here. One calendar is kind of a centralized calendar that's going to help you prepare for sales campaigns and other promotions. As you can see here, we are also integrated with a number of different third-party integration providers, which I'll show you in a little bit later in the presentation. But as you can see here, we're currently integrated with QuickBooks online and desktop versions to not only send any accounting data over to QuickBooks to be processed for bookkeeping, but you can also manage your inventory that's also held at QuickBooks so that you can properly manage your accounts through our customer relationship management system, seeing that inventory that's in QuickBooks in our system itself. So it kind of creates that fluidity there. But as you can see, we actually have our own accounting module in the system itself, saving our customers thousands of dollars in additional fees to have accounting and bookkeeping capabilities. So as we kind of quickly move through some of these additional tools here, like I mentioned, we have a lot of field service capabilities, a lot of field service management capabilities. One of these is the ability to plan routes for your traveling sales and service teams, whether it's planning it from the desktop or from our mobile app, like I said, which is included in the subscription. You can easily set those routes and know within proximity of where you are, where the closest accounts are to you and things like that. So it really is a great handy tool that's designed for the road and will help those people on the road stay as productive as possible. Earlier, I had mentioned that we have a file sharing system that you can actually save important documents at the account level, like an NDA or a customer contract. Well, you also have the ability to save files company-wide through our file sharing section here, where you can import files from Dropbox or Box or OneDrive or locally from your computer and kind of save those, for example, like sales promotion information or sales inventory sheets or sales sheets, things like that. We have a website integration feature here, which allows our system to connect to your website via some JavaScript code that our system will generate that you attach to your website so that any inquiry form, whether it's a sales inquiry or a support request, the information can get pulled into our system and can get processed as either a new lead or a support ticket. So that's a great feature to have there. Like I said earlier, we're running a lot of financial functionality in the background in the system, so you have access to that at all times. Through our integration partnerships with Constant Contact and MailChimp, you're actually able to set up campaigns and set up your target lists and get the right audience and get the right messaging to the right audience real quickly in an effort to kind of save time, because we have a ton of stuff that we can go over on this solution here. We have a way to send out mailable dashboards, like I showed you earlier, emailable versions of those dashboards to prepare for meetings. We also have workflow functionality that adds an extra layer of automated capabilities to allow some of those mundane tasks to be happening automatically, allowing the user to stay as productive as possible. We also have places to manage your tasks, a place to manage a calendar to manage leaves for HR purposes, for coverage purposes. We have a case management system here and a special dashboard for managing cases. How fast are we responding? What products are these people calling about? How are they interacting with us? All of this can be viewed here through our dashboard in the cases section. And obviously you can manage all and sort through all of your cases here. We're known for our granular reporting. So whether it's reporting for activity on the staff, whether it's sales or visits or calls, survey questionnaires that you can ask on the road through our mobile application, profit and loss reports, accounts receivable reports from your vendors. So we have a number of different types of reporting capabilities that's constantly growing, and we already have a pretty good list of really granular type reporting functionality for you there. Finally, we have a lot of configuration capabilities here. So it doesn't require a computer science degree to be able to adapt the system to reflect the changes and the adaptation that a lot of the businesses have been going through right now, especially, as I mentioned, shifting back after everything is all behind us. Having that flexibility and the ease of use in our system will make those transitions as smooth as possible for you. So now we're going to go back to our slides here, and there's some other things that I want us to really kind of consider when looking for a system, a solution. Does it have the visibility to be able to spot trends and spot opportunities to sell the right goods or the right products? Can the system connect with other popular yet complementary solutions through third-party integrations like you see here? Is there an easy and organized way to keep tabs on returns from customers and vendors? Does the system have support case management capabilities? Is there granular reporting available? Is the system able to be configured in a way to adjust and evolve and scale with your business? If I'm doing research on solutions, I want to make sure that all the above capabilities are present and that the system is constantly improving from both a feature and usability standpoint. Now, of course, you're going to want a system that's super easy to use, but what about support? How does the provider offer support? How hard is it to reach somebody? How about resources to use the solution? Are there tutorial vids, things like that? How does the provider communicate with me? How is pricing? Is there a long-term 3 to 5 year contract? How hard is it to get out of that contract? What about the handling of historical data? These are additional considerations that we all really need to make when you're selecting or choosing a solution. Now, I mentioned earlier our relationship with QuickBooks. This is a major integration that we added earlier this year, where if you are using our system to handle all of your inventory management needs, you can easily take all of the financial information that's related to all of those transactions and have them instantaneously sent over to QuickBooks on the back end of the system seamlessly without you even having to do anything manual. But even if you have your inventory housed at QuickBooks, you're able to actually see your inventory in our system so that you can use our customer relationship management tools to properly service your customers while still being able to access and place and send invoices from our system over to QuickBooks. So not only do you need to make a lot of these considerations that I mentioned earlier, but while you investigate, try to think about how difficult it would be to pivot your business to adapt to the conditions like we find ourselves in right now, right? And if we look at our earlier examples, since the distiller's entire client base had shifted, having a system flexible enough to easily export and change their customer lists was critical for them. And not only that, since they're dealing with new product and a new customer base, a lot of adjustments needed to be made to properties of the products and of their customers. So with the right system configuration capabilities, they're allowed to really make those shifts as easy as possible. Additionally, adding products to the system really has to be as easy and as concise as possible so that you can easily upload them in bulk when it comes time to shift the focus back to the old normal. All right. And as far as the food distributors are concerned, in a similar fashion to the distillers, the food distributors, they also had to adapt and repackage their products and do all these things. So they needed to use manufacturing capabilities to kind of help package these new meals that they were sending out. They needed to keep track of the inventory involved in creating those meals and all those things. So having a system to do that was very important. Also using the field service tools in our mobile app, their field teams are easily able to kind of plan their routes to these new customers, and they're able to properly service them via survey questionnaire features that we have, making sure that those important questions are asked to those new customers when that relationship is at the most vulnerable point, right? And finally, the consultative sales, with the right CRM system, that sales desk is able to shift the day-to-day focus from office to remote activities through LionO's 360's desktop cloud-based solution, right? Giving them the flexibility to work anywhere, but equally important, giving management and the visibility and assurance that their employees are as productive as possible. So used in conjunction with the mobile version for placing calls, they could document their call durations and all of their as store visits to make sure that, all of that activity is being captured properly. So in review, what we saw today were some of the challenges that many businesses are facing. And we talked about how having the right technologies in place can not only make operating your business a lot more efficiently, but if you will need the flexibility to be able to adapt to changing environments and demand. And yes, there's going to be many challenges and many unknowns before us. But as we continue to reopen the economy, we need to strategize and execute plans while staying focused again on that long term in order to adapt to the gradual changes in the months and years ahead. Now, as we've seen in some of these examples today, these changes may look different based on your industry and overarching business models and procedures, but I believe if those pieces are in place, you'll be able to weather this storm no matter how bad the second surge is right now. And let's face it, we're all still here. We're all going to move forward. We're not hopeless against the temporary sluggish demand we're experiencing. It's just really a matter of doing everything that we can to spur that demand and make it easy as possible for your customers to do business with you. So with that said, if there's anything that I said that made sense today, if you're in the process of adapting and feel that streamlining things can help your business, then please, by all means, reach out to us. We're available for free consultations, no obligation, where we'll sit and spend the time to learn more about your business. So with that said, I know I'm kind of cutting short on time. I want to open things up for questions here. So if you have any, feel free to fire away. Okay, so one question I'm seeing here is, what is your pricing like? Well, we have a very simplified pricing model where we give you the choice and basically in terms of how frequently you want to pay us. But what we try to do is we give you as many options as we can in terms of the amount of features that we provide to our customers. So basically what we do is we offer our software in two parts, either in a sales portion only or an inventory portion only, or for those who need both, we offer it in a bundled version as you saw today. So the cost ranges anywhere from, I would say, about $70 per user per month to as low as $37, $38 per user per month, depending on the frequency of how you pay us, as well as what module you actually need. So that's something that we can kind of talk a little bit more in depth. Actually, I just noticed another question regarding that. Actually, is there any additional cost for implementation? Implementation or onboarding, as we would say, generally speaking, there is no additional cost. There is a case-by-case basis though, so depending on whether we have the complexity of the databases involved and things like that, we kind of have to look at it that way. But generally speaking, there really is no additional cost for onboarding. That onboarding process is usually a 7-day to 2-week process where we learn your business and try to we get everything set up, get the data in there, get you trained, and let you send you off and running on your efforts there. So any other questions? Yes, the question here is, do we do any customization work and integration work? And the answer to that is, in short, yes. We do integration work on a case-by-case basis. We try to evaluate things based on the complexity of the tasks involved. We try to be as economical as we can, because remember, we're here for small businesses. We're not, we're not necessarily here for the giant corporations. We're here to service a small business and provide them with a tool that can really have a profound impact on their businesses. So we do have the ability to kind of do things on a case-by-case basis. So.
Okay, thanks, Brendan. That's about all the time we have today for questions.
No problem. Thank you very much, everybody.
And don't forget, all of you will be receiving a recording via email. Lastly, when you close out of the webinar, a survey will come up on your screen. We hope you'll fill that out so we can understand how best to provide you important information in webinar format. So until next time, for Brandon DiCarlo of LionO360, this is Amy Music thanking you for being with us today and wishing you a great day.